after him move on with this news that came out of nowhere. And it literally was one day they have a meet, from what I can gather, they have a meeting and said they tell the students and the staff that you have, first I heard it was until August. And then it's the end of June, and now it's tomorrow. You on some try and be morally right or whatever. And I'm not saying that morally right stuff that King was talking about. Right. That's different. I'm not talking about that, because ain't no way you putting women and the kids in front of water hoses and police dogs, and they don't give a damn. Excuse me. I'm a teacher, and if I'm not teaching your children, people have a right to come and say, "Hey, look, man, you're not doing what I need you to do for my child." But you have to be involved too, right? So you can't tell me as a parent, unless you're involved, that you're not doing my child right. I need y'all to correlate this to what's going on around here as well. You can't tell me I'm not doing your child right if you're not involved in the child's life on all levels. The issue that it is now is blatant in everybody's face. Yeah. It's blatant in everybody's face. So we're not sitting there talking about what can we do for residents. We don't care nothing about the residents.
Never about the residents.
It's never about the residents. And the issue that people are having that I see, and they still won't let me come down to the council meeting. When I'm out of school, I'm just going to go. We out of school in a couple weeks. I'm just going to come to one. I don't care.
Saying they still saying they can't hear us.
Okay.
Can y'all hear us now? Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, it just popped in on my side.
Okay. So all right, we there.
Yeah, we there.
Okay. I'm gonna pose a question, right? Salty Chef, you live in another part of North America, but I want you to answer for me anyway. How many people know the history of this country? Like, really know it? And if you do, give a yes, thumbs up, raise your hand, shout yes, I do, whatever, however. Hurry up, because we're getting ready to go to some places this morning. And I'm not talking about bits and pieces and names and dates. I'm talking about the history. Okay. I got one thumbs down and one thumbs and one yes. You don't understand, and we have to be clear about this. Most people have no clue of the history of the country in which they live. That's number one, right? How it was started, how it was formed, the group of people that came over, how they came over, why they came over, because even the so-called founding fathers, which they didn't find anything, were immigrants. That's number one. They had a falling out with some other people from where they originally come from and came over here to start to colonize. That's the reason why they're called the 13 colonies or the colonizers. Start to colonize another area that was not found by somebody else. Because even in Canada, Newfoundland was so-called discovered by Leif Erikson or Eric the Red, one of the two. And here's the reason why it's named the way that it's named is given a very simple name: Newfound Land, Newfoundland. And they were so-called Viking sailors that came from Switzerland or Netherlands or Deutschland or wherever they come from. And I'm not trying to be funny because I just don't remember right now. And they found that area and they call it Newfoundland. But it was, of course, called Newfound Land. And most people have no clue about, even if, oh, well, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Mexican, I'm Hispanic, I'm Irish, Italian, Native American, African American, no clue where they come from and the history of the group of people that they claim that they come from. And because we've had a level of forgetfulness in this, because we have a level of forgetfulness and we're not holding on to our cultural remembrances, it's easy for other people to say, it's okay for you to forget what happened to you. And Salty Chef, that's all over North America. Okay, that's all over North America. That's all over South America, Central America. It's all the same. So when the so-called colonizers started to find ways to voyage and not lose so many people on the voyages, then guess what? The Arawak, the Taino, and Arawak. Yeah, okay. At least those two native groups that were on the Caribs. Where do you get the word Caribbean from? Not from the color of the oceans. The word Carib was a native group in that area. The Taino was supposed to be the group that, if I recall, I could have my facts backwards. Fix them if I do, if I'm wrong. The Taino was supposed to be the nicer of the three groups. The Arawak was the warring group. And the Taino was just like, I don't want to be bothered with y'all. So one of the groups was one that kind of welcomed people in because that's what we do. That's what also happened in Africa, in El Kibalan. We're not going to call it Africa. In El Kibalan. So that's what happened there as well. We're just going to welcome them in because, they don't know what they look like. That's what happened to the Wampanoag. The Wampanoag was a Native American group on the eastern seaboard that welcomed in the first so-called pilgrims. And I don't know what they were pilgrimage from, but I know they was coming to pillage. They helped them out, okay, and helped them to survive after, because they came over here in 1509, 1510 more came. They started the first Jamestown colony. All of them but 11 died. And part of that history is, okay, well, how did they survive? They were cannibalizing each other. So the Wampanoag, in their open-armedness, allowed them to survive taught them how to live on the land, taught them what foods to eat and couldn't eat, because when they brought the animals from England and Ireland and other places over here, those animals weren't used to this climate and they died. People died because of sicknesses and all this other stuff. They weren't used to the climate. They weren't used to the food. So they died as well. And then when they couldn't leave because of the winters, because the winter that we get now is nothing compared to the winter that you had when you had the open plains. Completely different. The Wampanoag were graceful enough and gracious enough to save those remaining colonists from the first Jamestown. Then, of course, they went back and told the king of whoever was in charge, look, we got these wonderful people that's helped save us, and they welcomed us with open arms. So then the slaughter was on. The second Jamestown, see, they don't mention the first Jamestown. The second Jamestown that was in 1619, that's when they brought in the 19 or 21 African people to start the period of enslavement here in this part of the world. But they've been doing it everywhere else. They've been doing it everywhere else. But if you know what I'm saying is, it's not just, okay, well, if you're from Ireland, then you should know your history from where you come from. And most people don't. They just claim it, but they don't know it. If you're Native American or indigenous, then you should know the history from which you come from. You should know the place you come from. And see, what they told us and what we bought into, and even with people who are supposed to look the same, brown people and black people in this country, we bought this narrative that slavery didn't happen and we can't prove it or whatever. There's ledgers of over 12,000 slave ships with over 100 million people on the ledgers, but only 10 million people were brought to the Americas. That means North America, Central America, Mexico, and South America during the period of enslavement. Go back and look who the one who wrote the Papal Bull, 1441, Pope Nicholas V. He wrote the Papal Bull that said, those people who don't believe the way we do, you have the right to bring them into Christianity in one way, shape, or form. It don't matter how you do it. And then when they also found out that people they had gold and they knew how to, make jewelry, and they looked like this, and the women were walking around this way, and the men and everybody opened their arms up real generously for them. That was another reason why the doors were open and people poured in, because it was about money as well. So no, we don't know our history. We think we do. We know bits and pieces and facts, but we don't know the full true history of, number one, where we come from, and number two, how we even got here. So it's easy for those persons to say that we can erase your history. It's easy for somebody else to say that they can, what was it, DeSantis or whatever? He's Hispanic.
Ron DeSantis.
Right, he's Hispanic, but he's not. You're not going to tell him or Cuban. I think he's Cuban, but you're not going to tell him to erase his history. You're not going to tell Jewish people to erase their history and forget their history. And why are we ignorant enough to do that? I don't understand why it's okay for us to think, any group to think, that we can just go ahead on and ignore our history and erase our history, and we don't have to listen or embrace it anymore because somebody says don't do it because you're going to offend somebody else. Meanwhile, they're constantly offending you and denigrating you and disrespecting you. So this whole of the Americas has been nothing but a colony. When Germany planned in World War II to attack Great Britain, the United States stepped in big time and stopped it, but they didn't drop a bomb on them. They weren't going to. They weren't prepared to. And they was, why would you do that? That's my family. So people have a cultural remembrance of, okay, well, I'm Italian, so even though we fight in Italy, we really not going to destroy them or wipe them off the map. And they were against us, but we got Italian people here in this country, so you can't, destroy them the way you would destroy somebody else who you really don't care nothing about. The way that they dropped two atomic bombs on Japan. They didn't do that anywhere else. Now you might have bombed places or whatever in quote unquote war, but you weren't going to just go obliterate a country the way you did Japan. The Japanese not a major part of our bloodline, of our cultural remembrance, of our attachment. During the potato famine, you had many, many people that come over here from Ireland. We're going to talk about blowing up Ireland or whatever. You didn't even get into the fights between the IRA and the British, other than trying to negotiate it because they both your families. So you're not going to mess that up. You're not going to say, hey, look, I'm not going to uh, go blow up my where my people come from because, that's where we come from. But any other group you can go and exploit and destroy. And now they want to be upset that some countries in our Cuba line are saying we no longer want to be dealing with you on the terms that you want us to deal with you. We want to deal with you on different terms. And now they want to call them terrorists and find launching pads to go in and destroy other countries because they couldn't get out of it what they want. They can no longer get what they want: free goods, labor, and materials and resources. Because you're going to owe us. I don't see no likes, bro. Y'all need to be hitting the like. I know this kind of sounds a bit scathing, but it is, and it should be. I don't know where we only thing we want to think about during Black History Month is inventors, but we not even talking. Man, we did everything, but you don't want to learn where you come from. And we should, every group. I'm not saying you Native American, and but you're supposed to celebrate all the time. You Hispanic and celebrate all the time. You Irish celebrate all the time. That's fine. I don't have no problem with that. Of course it is. We appreciate you, bro. Hey, when I come up, one of these times we're gonna get up that way, but we gotta wait till it warm up. So you gotta stay. We gotta stay hooked in, and so we can do that. I'm not sure how the skiing is up there. I'm a skier, but yeah. As a matter of fact, I'll be. Oh, no, I won't. Blue Mountain isn't near Toronto. It's not near Saskatchewan. Man, I wish you could fly over, but you'll be gone. Yeah, but we have to. And don't start like, okay, Sister Connie Lewis. I don't know where's Skaz at.
Saskatchewan.
She up there too? They've only recently started teaching Native studies in their public school. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's what's up. But here, okay, let me say this though, to that point. If yes, they're starting to teach native we're married family. I appreciate that. Thank you. Good morning, Pastor Gaddis. Um, but start to teach it in your home. Okay, you're in Saskatchewan. In Nova Scotia, you all have a very large population of African people who ran away from enslavement in North America. Guess who started hockey? And it wasn't Wayne Gretzky. It's African people started hockey in Nova Scotia. And Nova Scotia means what? New Scotland. And I'm not saying just I'm what I'm trying to say is study not only your history, study Native American history. There are African people up there, study their history to study everybody's stuff. Because then you start to have a different conversation when you see people in a different light. Don't start studying stuff from slavery either, unless you're looking at the strength that people went through. Because there's a lot of strength in there. People, oh, they did horrible things. They still doing horrible things to us. They ain't stopped. They doing horrible things to anybody. This ice crap is insanity. And all because, and it's come out that these persons and these companies that own these that have, because they privatized prisons, went to their Senate and turned around and hold that thought up there. I want to Rafi and Mr. Bird. They went to the Senate and made complaints to the Senate because their populations have decreased 24% across the board because people are waking up and not giving themselves to the prison industrial complex. And so they made complaints. And guess what? Now, when they make complaints, all of a sudden we see these ICE raids. And where do they take them to? To these prisons. And take them to those prisons, and then guess what? Profits go up. There's kind of a correlation there. I haven't looked into it as deeply as I'm going to, but just a little bit that I've researched, that's kind of important, and we need to kind of pay attention to that. Okay. Uh, Mr. Bird, Brother Bird says black people have grown to live in luxury and they think that the effects of slavery does not apply to them because they do not feel it immediately. Well, ask Trayvon Martin, whose family lived behind a gated community. Okay. His family lived behind a gated community, which means his father may have been making enough money to be able to buy them a safe place, and it didn't matter to somebody because of their racial prejudice. And the boy's dead. Mm. And Everett is near where Hershey's has a pumping station for water at. Everett is near if you headed if you're going towards Idlewild, you run into Everett, and there's another city up there that starts with the E. And Hershey's has got a pumping station up there. So, they doing this stuff all over the place. But what I'm saying as far as that goes is these persons are now their profits have gone back up because they went to the Senate and complained that they weren't getting enough prisoners the way that they normally would. So then all of a sudden the 2+2 is, well, now these ICE raids started to take place. What's the name of that? I'm trying to remember the name of that city that's up there.
I mean,
It's north. But anyway, but it's near Everett. Everett, and then a few miles away is this other one. But when I'm back to my point though, is okay, and we're in Saskatchewan. We're going back to Canada again. There has been no group in before it became the United States. The colonists in 1832 created a document called Manifest Destiny. And the whole point of that document was we're going to move from the East Coast to the West Coast, and we don't care who we destroy. That's the reason why the Trail of Tears became something important. That's the reason why all of these other atrocities were committed against Native people. There were a group of African people that were marched from I want to say Newport News to the Gulf of Mexico to Mississippi, down on the Mississippi River, 1,300 miles. The Trail of Tears was over 1,100 miles. And there's been no outrage. But people don't know. You hear about it and it's okay, this happened. Okay. We don't even talk about Chief Joseph and the fight that he put up, where he was it Chief Joseph that when he finished the war, he said, I will fight no more. And he stood on the other side of the border in Canada and looked back at his homeland one last time. And he just sat down and died right there, looking at his face in his homeland, because he was fighting all the time with groups of people. Or we don't talk about Chief Pontiac, that was where the city of Pontiac is named after, or Tecumseh, which the motor was named after, who had plans to get rid of the native people, the European invaders. But what ended up happening is you had people inside the group, because people know how to play divide and conquer, who sold them out. You ended up getting killed. Same thing with so-called insurrections. Gabriel Prosser sold out. Denmark Vesey sold out. Nat Turner sold out. John Brown sold out. John Brown was a white man. And he was one of those men who was like, we're going to eventually have war. And he saw that like early in the 50s, and he took up arms. There's a series on, I want to say Prime, that talks about that. And it came out years ago. And it's like a 7-part series on Amazon Prime that talks about John Brown and his life. I don't remember the name of it, but I'll make sure I get it to look and get it. I might do it in a minute, and look and get it and get it to you. Okay. And I'm not saying white people didn't help the abolitionist movement, because they did. But what we're talking about in the beginning is, if you don't know the history of the country in which you live and the history of the place where you come from, then you don't know nothing. So people can tell you what you do and don't do. That's the reason why the state curriculum ain't shit. And I'm telling you what I know. Oh, wow. Can you put that up there so I can take a picture of that?
Which one?
The one that Miss Connie Lewis put up.
Right here.
Yeah. I might have to get that book. I got to order another. Yeah, that one. Thank you, ma'am. I'm taking a picture of it right now. All right. Thank you. And African people left America. That was one another place that they run away to. And I'm just now finding that out. Is that they running away from, when they ran away, they went to different places. And now you telling me something I didn't know. I knew about Nova Scotia, but I didn't know anything about them going to Saskatchewan. Now I really got to come up there and do some skiing, because I'm coming home. Okay, but we have to have a very clear understanding about even where we live at. All this is native land. This is not some other group of people's land. They took it over. Governor Cass in Detroit was part of the native native removal policy. So is Andrew Jackson, which Fort Jackson is named after, where my daughter completed her basic training at a couple months ago. That's it right there. Okay, Sister Yogi, put that up. The
Right
good
here.
Lord Bird. Yep, that one right there. Thank you, bro. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way. I just got excited.
Oh, you good, you
But that's the one on Amazon. Okay, excellent documentary, excellent series. They painted him as he was. Oh, he's crazy. He's insane. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. They want to paint him that way because how are you fighting against the system as a white man and the way you're fighting against it? You weren't just letting people uh, um, live in your house and move in your house until they went on about their way on the Underground Railroad. You're trying to destroy the system by arms. And they said he was crazy. And this is the reason why it's important to study and read as much as you can and everything that you can. And research as much as you can and everything that you can. For the mere fact that they wanted to paint this man as somebody insane, but he believed in God the same way you do. He still believed that people should be enslaved and chatteled. And because the way he did things wasn't, I'm going to walk around preaching with a Bible. He preached with a Bible and a gun. And people should know that. There should be programs going on all the time. The hell with what these clowns are talking about. You know they're not going to happen in church, so don't even, we may have one pastor on here that may do something different. Might. And I think he does, because that's my big brother. But most places, they're not going to talk about that. They're not going to sit up there. Why? Because you don't want to get the flock riled up. You get the flock riled up, and now what you got? Oh, man, we can't control them anymore. You're not supposed to control them. That's how you set them free. Yes, right. Jackson's named after Andrew Jackson. And Andrew Jackson was part of the Indian Removal Society. As a matter of fact, if I recall correctly, he was one of the authors of the policy. So in Michigan, when you go down to Detroit and you drive on Cass Street or Cass Avenue, whatever, so was Cass. And he's also got a school named after him, Cass Tech. He was part of the Indian Removal Society that they did, and they removed all these Native Americans here. Put them on reservations, where they suffer more now than they ever suffered before. And a reservation is nothing more than a plantation. They put them on places where you still can't, to a small degree, you can't do your native rituals, which most of them forgotten because guess what? They mixed up with too many people that don't remember nothing. Alcoholism is high, suicide is high, all of that stuff. You literally destroyed another 100 million people. Minimally, you got 300 to 500 million people's blood on your hands. But we don't know the history. Or we want to choose to forget it because it's too much to remember. It's not about anything other than being aware about somebody else's real, true humanity. You not think of somebody, oh, that person's got to be feared because of the color of their skin or where they come from, or all this other stuff. That's part of the problem. That's part of the division. Look, let me give y'all another tip. You know the reason why it was okay for the Southern plantation owners to be able to get away with the stuff that they did with the poor whites and told the poor whites that the blacks that were not free are going to take your job, in which that means the Klan came out of it and all that other stuff? Because of propaganda and fear. These are the same people you used to own and you used to work for, and they used to work for you for nothing. Now they come and take your jobs. That was a simple propaganda. Okay, look at what Salty Chef said. My brother in Saskatchewan, what he just put up there. Okay, the reservations are unlivable, and they did it on purpose. And then in return, the only thing they get is you get to open up a casino. How the hell does a casino take fact that your livelihood that you had hundreds of years ago is gone, how you lived hundreds of years ago is gone, the rituals that you had hundreds of years ago is gone, and then you get intermixed with white people that say that they was Native American so that they could be part of something because they ain't part of nothing. Because they always think shit's cool from somebody else, so they want to go ahead on to be part of it. And the only reason why they get to be called Native Americans is because some of them in their past, and then they married Native American women, or the women married Native American men. But understanding and knowing the history of the place that you live at, and understanding and knowing the place and the people where you come from. Let me say this again. Most of us in this country who came over here, and there were free blacks here as well, but most of us that came over here and our ancestors came over here and were brought over here and then chains and in bondage. And most of us come from West Africa. And you have several countries that we come from, Nigeria being one, and there are many tribes and ethnic groups there. Guinea being another one, Senegal being one, Mali being one, Burkina Faso being one, Cote d'Ivoire or Ivory Coast being one, Ghana being another. So in those 5 or 10 countries, and a few more down the coast, I don't remember them all off the top of my head, used to know them all, but a few more down the coast. Because if you look at where they have the slave dungeons at and the slave castles at, those are where they imported people at. That's where they start the processing at. And that's so where were they? They wasn't really going to the interior. Very few from the Congo and the center. No, you can't hate the world. You have to hate the people. And what we have to do is we have to be revolutionary enough to change what we need to change in ourselves so we can be the change agents in our families. Because trust and believe, nature knows exactly what she's doing and how she's going to do it. People aren't getting sick and stuff ain't happening for nothing. There's a reason. This planet, Mother Earth, only been around for 4.5 billion years. You think she's going anywhere? She'll get rid of everybody and everything first. She's done it before. But what we have to do is we have to change the rhetoric. I'm going to take you as you are. You show me you this way, I'm going to take you that way. No problem. We all can't eat only because you have the same thing that you had, of the same group of people that signed the Declaration of Independence and all of those other documents that said, was it Declaration? Is that what I'm talking about too? Declaration of Independence or Constitution? I'm sorry. Those people were rich white landowners. Those are the ones who were there. The only person that was different was Mr. John Hanson at the Second Continental Congress, but his name is not on the document. We all can't eat because to those people, those same things that happened later on, those same rich white male landowners are the same ones in charge doing what they're doing now. But revolution is only going to take place on the inside, and that's only going to come because what we know. Miss Luna, I'm assuming that you are Hispanic. Then that means that I should make the assumption that you know about who your people are, where they come from, how they fight, whether they Aztec, Inca, what's the other one? Aztec, Inca, Mayan, whether they come from Mexico, whether they come from Spain or wherever. You should know that. And you should be able to share that with me. And I should be able to accept that from you. And we should be good. But we all are not going to be able to eat in a country where it's okay to exploit other people. And that's what it's always been. It started out by exploitation. How many people know that even the word, if I'm a Protestant. Well, what's the key not synonym. What's the key root of the word Protestant? Protest. Because you protested the Church of England, and because you couldn't get any changes there, you up and left and created another group from the Church of England. You didn't like it, what they were doing, what Henry VIII was doing, so you created another group based upon the same ideology, and you left there and you moved here. The root of that word of Protestant is protest. The Methodist Church is nothing more than the Catholic Church with a little less ritual. The AME Church is nothing more than the Methodist Church with a little bit more African ritual because somebody discovered that there was African ritual inside of it. And Reverend Richard Allen and Reverend Absalom Jones were both Prince Hall Masons. So when they started the church in 1802, Big Mama Bethel in 1802, they were very clear. They added some ritual in there because the Saint Augustine was one of the ones who wrote it starts with the letter E for those of y'all that's Catholic. It escapes me what it was, but he gave those rituals to the Catholic Church. And guess what? One of the biggest slave holding by the Spanish is called Saint Augustine down in Florida, named after Saint Augustus. They want to say Augustine. No, it's not how you say his name. It's Augustus. Brother Bird is on the road this morning. Well, that's true. That's true. But here's the other part about that, right? Okay, so what's the biggest rapper that they say is one of the best rappers ever? Now, Eminem, right? This ain't your shit. Go do what you do. But what do we do is we let him in. The biggest thing is I'm saying, family, is we don't know who we are. We don't know our history. We know where we might, what we might look like, but we should be studying stuff all the time. And we don't. So it's easy for these clowns to sit up here and say what you can and cannot teach, what you should and shouldn't teach. And because if we don't, then we continue to perish. Isn't there a verse in the Bible that says something about those who don't know will die from the lack of knowledge? And if you look around at what's going on with our young people, what's happening with them? And they're dying because of a lack of knowledge. And most people don't even want to sit and listen to anything about their history, anything about where they come from, anything about what is going on in the world. Because if you're not being a conformist, then you're being a problem. And it doesn't matter whether what part of your true leadership in whatever way, shape, or form that takes place is about you being truthful and exposing yourself to the truth and being able to peel layers of your onion back and saying, this is what I am and this is who I am. That don't mean that we all have to get along. What I'm just saying is don't be in my way of my progress. And policy in this country has always been get in the way of progress of other people so that you still have the upper hand. Now, are we talking about how do we change that? Well, number one, I don't know if we ever can, not at this day and age, because the big business, has stepped in too much to be part of uh, politics. So doing anything politically, I don't think is ever going to work. But that doesn't mean you can't do things grassroots. That doesn't mean if you go to Saskatchewan or hey, y'all get a group of people that want me to come up there, and yeah, I'll come up there, not a problem, and we can sit down and talk and have some conversation. We'll come up there, me and Mick. Just don't let it be wintertime. We'll come up there and we'll do a class up there, not or a couple, a series of classes up there. Because the other thing about even Canada, it is very sparsely populated, right? There's only certain centers. Saskatchewan is the capital of Saskatchewan, right? And you only have a few areas in Canada because of its physical makeup that are highly populated. Toronto's one of them. Montreal and Quebec is another. Saskatchewan, I'm saying it wrong, is there. And in Vancouver, British Columbia, there's there. And I know that they're Saskatoon. Okay. Regina's the capital. Okay. Thank you. And because the people I know up there ski too. So, there's that. But do you know the history of your country? Do you know the history of how it started? Do you know the history of the people there? And you cannot be complicit in talking about, oh, you don't need to do that because it's not going to help us. Well, if we turn around and look at what's going on here, what did they do to the Japanese during World War II? They put them in internment camps. Guess what's happening now? They ended up having to pay, though. But like I said earlier, Japan has been the only country that's been bombed with an atomic force the way that it has. But yet you had the worst fighting and the worst killing going on in Germany, but you didn't bomb them. You didn't blow them out of existence. Why? Because you know where you come from. You have Italian people that clearly tell you I'm either from Sicily or some other part of Italy.
Palermo.
Okay, there we go. Very clearly. You can have people that are of Irish descent tell you very clearly that I'm from Dublin or wherever. Now, because of our confusion, we may not know exactly where we come from, But I know people that claim, well, yes, we were born here, but genetically you weren't. That's like people of Irish descent being born here, but genetically they're from Ireland. That's where they come from. So their gene pool started at. Stop buying that dumb shit. That's dumb. All life, number one, started in Africa. Period. Started in Alkebalan. Period. All human life, hominids, started there. So even if we're looking at that, then it should be okay. How do we support that continent instead of continue to break it down and rape it? If you're on a cellular device or a digital device, you don't have that without their certain minerals that come from Africa, and they're the only place in the world that they come from. And there's a black man who founded the mineral who was able to microtize the phone from where it was back in the 70s, back in the 8. Hell, but the type of phone started in Vietnam. It was on a big backpack radio phone. Motorola. But I don't want to just talk about like one and see this is what our history typically gets broken down to in this country, where we just get one we'll talk about the accomplishments of a person. Well, the whole world doesn't exist without Kemet. The whole world doesn't exist without Kebalan. Nothing exists in the world. You don't even know how to build buildings unless you start to do it for over in ancient Kemet, Kush, and Punt first. In Nubia, you don't even have those. You have no buildings. You have no way, no way to structure a building without those temples and those buildings that take place there first. The old Sumeria, Mesopotamia, that's bullshit. They don't come until later. But you want to put them in history books first only because you're writing the history. But if you know where you come from, the so-called city of Alexandria, millions of transcript of books that were taken out of Alexandria. I don't even know why it's called Alexandria, because Alexander is the one who took books out of there and they named it after him. But so this is after the downfall of the civilization, which happens to every civilization. Every civilization goes birth, life, age, and die. Everyone. This was going to too. This is going to happen to this one too. Every civilization goes through it. No different. We're going into the fall winter season. So the trees are falling off. We got to go rake and get our final cuts. It was snowing this morning that I was leaving to come to class. Now I'm gonna tip y'all on to something. My great grandfather, great, let me see. I met him one time in 1971 before he passed away. He was 100 years old. He's a six. At that time, he was 6'11". At 99 years old, he was a full blood Blackfoot Indian from North Carolina. And I know some of the history, and I still have some of his documents to this day. Still, the only thing I didn't get a chance to keep is his peace pipe. Somebody lost it. And that's what I'm talking about. That's the most important. If you don't know the history of even your religion, you got to know where that comes from and what that means. And I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying don't go preach and study the Bible or whatever. But where's it come from? Where's it come from? If it's Methodist, it's the Church of England. If it's Protestant, it's a branch that's off of there. All of these other branches come from over here where people didn't agree with other people, so they started new stuff. That's how Church of England started. He didn't agree with the original coming from the Vatican. So then he said, I don't want to do this, so I'm going to start a church here. Which the only reason why he was successful at doing that is because he had a bunch of wives and nobody gave him a male heir. And any of the women that he was married that didn't give him a son, he killed them. And he made sure that the church sanctioned what he was doing. We have to stop playing this game with who we are and what we're doing, because if we don't understand the history from who we are and what we're doing and the history of the country, it's being repeated over and over and over again. It's being packaged different ways, but they're still doing the same stuff. And you're not going to stop it by talking to, oh, excuse me, council person, excuse me, mayor, no, they don't run anything. They're being ran by things. And those are corporations. Corporations running. It's like we talking about the mayor. Didn't we talk about this last week? The mayor that got elected over in no, it was before the 30s. It was in the 1800s. But the 1830s though. But they typically come, you got to remember religion, but the idea of religion was brought here with the Protestants and the Pilgrims, right? Some of the different things changed, but the first African church in America, AME Church, was started in 1802. In Philadelphia. By Reverend Richard Allen and Reverend Absalom Jones. But even understanding that, right? We have to have a very clear idea of the place and where we live at, whether it be the city, the state, or the country. I think in the state of Michigan, there were over 33 different Native groups, with the Chippewa being the largest. Which is the reason why the school up north, Central Michigan, is named the Chippewas. But they got a Soaring Eagle Resort is up there, but guess who run it? It ain't Native Americans. Or there are people that claim to be Native Americans because they say they mixed. And how did you get mixed? But I don't want to see that. I want to see those people who you put on reservation to destroy their way of life run it. Because if you're going to grant them that, then you shouldn't have your hand in the profits. But that's not how that goes. Not in this country. And that's what makes it sad to constantly look at where certain groups of people say this is a for-profit corporation, and it really is becoming more and more apparent that this is exactly what it is. You want to show that clip real quick, big bro?
Sure can.
Okay. All right.
No, I got it for you.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was waiting for you. Let me know when you wanted to. You want me to show this one first before the picture one you sent me?
What? Yeah, I don't know.
The image. This one right here. I already had it right here. You see it?
No, not yet.
Okay. It pop up yet?
Nope. Oh, there we go. Oh,
yeah.
This one. What was the other one?
I got that one behind it too. I was just showing this one first.
Okay. So this is what happened yesterday. So when people want to sit around and say there's no racism in this country, there's a football player, right? They're playing. This is South Carolina and Texas A&M, and Texas A&M is getting a book whooped by South Carolina. So a player is coming out of the tunnel after he just scored a touchdown and he hurt himself, and a police officer who was also part of security at the game brusquely bumps into him and then points at him. Right now, I don't know if we got the whole clip, but we got the whole. I think we got the whole thing.
Yeah, I got what you. I got this.
Yeah. So if we look at now, we come to find out later on that police officer was suspended and relieved of duty, and he's going to no longer be part of the security at the state at the games, but he shouldn't be a police officer at all, because if he does this at a football game and does this to a young man at a football game, then why is he on the street? Okay, go ahead.
I got you.
So we all saw the cop purposely walk into that tunnel after South Carolina, Nick Harbor scored an 80-yard touchdown, was walking out and purposely shoulder checked them, flared out his elbows, and then proceeded to say something to them like, get out of here. We all saw that, right? And before you say, well, what did the South Carolina football player do? Nothing. He was playing football. That's what he was doing, and he scored a touchdown. And South Carolina was already beating Texas A&M pretty badly at Texas A&M. And he walks into the tunnel because he kept running, holds his hamstring, comes out, his teammates come to see him, and then this cop appears to purposely go in between them, flare out elbows, shoulder check, shove, then turn around and they're like, whoa, what's going on? And he just starts yelling at them. That's what happened. And just in case for the people that are like, you didn't show what Nick Harbor in South Carolina did. They said something to the cop first. Just going to show the clip in full. Nick Harbor, he's running. You start to see him hold that right hamstring. He jogs a little bit. They're all making sure he's okay. Celebrate, make sure he's good. Okay. They cut to the coach here. Now they're going to walk out the tunnel. And this is where they're not saying anything. They're making sure he's good. Cop just comes in between. I didn't think that a college football player who is actively playing in this nationally televised game that just scored a touchdown was a threat because he was walking out the tunnel. Interesting.
You back.
Okay. So for those of you all who want to be colorblind, deaf, and dumb, that's very clearly an act of aggression. Now, I can understand if the cop was pulling for Texas A&M and this kid scored, and then you're upset because you're in the moment of sports. But does a young man deserve that? And guess what? That person is going to be on the streets. They may relieve him of duties from, and I could be wrong, I think they suspended him completely. But it wasn't even necessary to do in the first place. And if you did get bumped by the kid, hey man, my fault. Because, the kid turns around and look at him and throws his hand up.
Yeah, but that still ain't get officer. That's a game. He a part of the game,
right?
Know? And I'm not going for that because if he was going for Texas A&M, you there to do a job. It's not for you to be, you know what I'm saying? But that, and I agree with you. How is he acting when he in the streets with people? When
he in the street, he beating people ass.
Yeah.
Already know. So I do believe, as I followed that story a little bit further, that they did put him on administrative leave and removed him from the police force. Because he's a police officer. He's not just there doing stadium security.
Right. Most of them be state patrol or something like that.
Yeah, he was state patrol. Yeah. So he's a Texas state police officer. But that's the type of stuff that constantly on purpose, right? So now what else do you have to tell your children, especially your male, your man, your young man children, when they go out in the street? They can't even play football.
Right.
So you still got to be extra careful, because somebody could be on some bullshit tomorrow because they had a bad weekend because their team lost.
Facts.
And then people wonder the reason why we die at a young age, because we got to worry about this shit all the time. We have to worry about the insanity in our own. And the reason why we have so much insanity as our own community is because they don't know nothing. They got a computer literally in their hands and know absolute nothing. They know TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, if they use it anymore, Instagram. But what do they know about their own history and culture and the people that they come from? They know nothing. They know how to say bitches, hoes, and get money and find a way to get paid. Drug, smoke, deal, niggas. They know how to say all of that shit. But they don't know, excuse me for y'all if that offended you. But this is what the deal is. Because the propaganda said, you don't need to be this thing anymore. You can be this. And this is how you make money. And I'm going to make this statement, and it's going to be irksome people, and I really don't care. It's always hearing people when a young person leave, oh, they was better than where they come from. But if you didn't do nothing to improve it, then what the fuck? If you didn't do nothing to improve where you come from, then going somewhere else means what? You ain't going to do shit when you go there. In that instance with that young man, I would sue the state of Texas. You gonna do that mess over what? And this is the type of police officers you got on your force? You got this type of police officer on your force at a football game with a 18, 19, 20-year-old young man, and you gonna run in there and bump into him like that? Man, no. There would be crazy numbers on the lawsuit. Even if they'll do nothing but tie that shit up in the court. Crazy, stupid numbers. Oh, we suing you $500 million. Now I'm walking around here. I'd lie. Hey, man, I'm walking around here now, and I'm worried about this, and my mental health is going. I'd take all kind of lies and be on some shit about that lawsuit. I'd be in a wheelchair, leg tied up, whatever. I don't care what I'd have to do. We can pull this. And this is the things that young people got to worry about every day. And these are the things that, unfortunately, as parents, we don't tell our children we have to worry about. Okay, so the young man who committed suicide for LSU.
Oh, that was, man, cold-blooded, wasn't it?
Crazy. And the coach never said anything to him and his family. The young man that just committed suicide and played for the Dallas Cowboys. If you know, come on. And I know stuff happens, and I know people, because what? Anthony Bourdain was set up by his family, and he wasn't doing nothing but going around the world eating. And he decided to take his life. There's something wrong with the picture.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that picture.
Okay, there's something very, very wrong with that picture. There's something wrong that happened yesterday with that police officer and that young man after he scored a touchdown, walking down the ramp. There's something wrong with that. And 90% of it, okay, I'm going to back it up. 80% of it is due to lack of knowing who we are and what we're dealing with in this country. And not knowing the history of this country. Oh, it's a melting pot. No, you ain't melting shit. You're a damn lie. You're not talking about everybody's equally this, because the laws are stacked against people that are not the ones in charge. The Constitution was written by and for white male landowners who were rich, and they were only rich because they own people that they work for free. Stop believing that that document has you covered. It does not. You are dreaming if you think that that has you covered. It does not cover you. You're not part of it. Remember, the original document, who was written in cursive, said indigenous savages and those that are considered 3/5 chattel. That's what it says. In a new typed up version, those are removed. Those words are removed, but it's still hinted at those that were former the indigenous and those who were formerly owned. Miss Allen, where's my X at? You better fix that. Stop playing. And we sitting here thinking we playing a game, and we're not playing a game at all. They're playing. We playing. We not even on the board because we still want to think that this system, we can be part of the system. The only reason why people want to be part of the system is to get paid, not to make any changes. I believe he did get fired. But all he's gonna do, you're right. He's gonna get hired by somewhere else. He's gonna move and go somewhere else. You Miss Allen, fix it. Hurry up now. We got a whole lot of time left. All right, you want to show the other one? Big bro.
Yo.
You want to show the other one too?
Hold on, which one?
Didn't I send you two?
Yeah, it was just a picture in that.
What's the picture? Show the picture.
The one when it was talking about the incident. Remember, I put that on first.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the picture. I was trying to get this other one up here about. It won't let me send it. It won't let me send it to myself.
Okay.
Hold on, let me go find it. Let me find myself.
Yeah, but we have to. We're playing. We're playing. They're playing Russian roulette, and every single chamber is loaded, and we're playing water guns with no water and no guns.
Yeah, that's the only one you gave me.
That's the only one I sent you.
Yeah, it was just cop relieved of duties after player exchange, and when the girl was talking, then there was a dude talking about him working out, a comedian.
Oh, that was funny. I don't think that was appropriate. Don't put
that
was for laughs.
No, I ain't gonna put that.
No, that's for laughs. That was worse than how I talk. Yeah, that was for okay. Yeah, the one he was talking about working out.
Right.
Yeah, I was talking about both of us though.
yeah. I know it. Yeah, but that was. Okay. That was the ones I got. I was trying to pull up the other one. Chris, if you would have sent it to me in Messenger, I could have got it. But he sent me one talking about when Chris K was talking about made religions when he got Charles. What is it? Let me see it right. Charles Parham created the Pentecostal religion in 1901. Joseph Smith created the Mormons religion in 1830. Charles T. Russell created the Jehovah Witness religion in 1872. Mm-hmm. William Miller created the Seventh-day Adventist religion in 1863. Right. And I guess this is from the Christianity First Council of Nicaea 325 AD. Yeah. So I don't know if that was a book or something he was sent me.
The Council of Nicaea is a real book. That's a book. But the other, I've seen that before. And as you can see, those religions were starting in the 1800s because they didn't agree with the major Protestant religion when they came here. But what I'm saying is, even if you go back and look at why did the Protestants, how did that religion get started? How did Lutheranism get started? It come from Martin Luther. Mm-hmm. Martin Luther wrote 95 different edicts against the Church of England, and then they run him off. Told him he got to go. They made him go, and he decided he was going to leave and died somewhere else. But what I'm talking about is if you are claiming, well, my background is this, know who you are. I live in Canada. know the history of Canada, right? Thank you, Miss Connie, is that her name? Connie Lewis, who sent us that book. I'm going to order that book because I didn't know it. I know a little bit about Nova Scotia because I was able to meet a man who started a history museum up there, and we never connected after I met him to either go up there and help him or go and visit or whatever. And I don't know if he's still alive or not, but that's one of the places I still would love to be able to go. But I didn't know much. I didn't know anything about Saskatchewan like that. And I appreciate you giving that. That means I got to study Canadian history more and not just the fun stuff. Because we should study it all. I don't want to hear or study just about was it Anne Rice from Auschwitz or whatever. Study the reason how Hitler came into power and reason why they did what they did. And you got to study all of it. How did World War I start? Miss Sherry, you better hurry up. We run out of time now. We got about 8 minutes. You got to fix that. Okay? So we need to study it all. And we don't. Bury my heart at Wounded Knee. Study it and read it.
I agree with you because there's a reason they want it out. They don't want it in the books. They wouldn't be trying so hard to erase it.
Right. And so then if they're able to erase it, and we have people that are there aiding and abetting them to erase our history, they're robbing us and our children of our history, because how in the world can you teach excellence if you don't understand where the excellence comes from? They want to tell you that Thomas Edison discovered the light bulb and all this other stuff, but he don't discover nothing without Lewis Latimer, and he took Lewis Latimer's stuff. It wasn't just Thomas Edison; it was Latimer.
But that's the automobile, like they gave the Wright brothers.
Right,
you know
the Wright brothers, the Ford, all of them.
Yeah, so it showed even putting this thing together. Who you think mapped out the United States?
Not only the United States, you don't have Washington D.C. without Benjamin Banneker.
Facts.
Okay, you don't have parts of you can't discover North America. I mean, the North Pole without Matthew Hansen, who really discovered True North. But before that, African people, Kemetic people discovered True North because they were able to align the pyramids that way. And it's only the big pyramid is only off 1 degree, only the Mir. That's what it's called. They're called, not pyramids. The Mir, M-I-R. It's off 1 degree because of an earthquake that happened over 12,000 years ago. So that tells you how old the pyramids are, the Mir are. It's only off 1 degree.
The Great Explosion.
Yep.
Some call it the Big Bang Theory. The ones who don't know, they try to say the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, well, they don't know. They're still trying to see that the beginning of time for that. Because it's still happening. Yeah. There's nothing but evolution. Yeah. Right, Elijah McCoy. You don't have trains to operate without Elijah McCoy. And the system is still the system, and he invented it in the 1800s. It still exists today. And they have not upgraded because it works too well. You don't have traffic lights.
That's why they call it the real McCoy.
Right. You don't have, yes, sir. You know how we don't have traffic lights without Garrett Morgan. Gas masks that they use in the Army and that they use when stuff is going on, and they tell you to get just in case something happens as civilians. You don't have none of that without us doing these things.
AC.
Right. Oh man. What?
Air conditioning.
Right. You don't have cell phones. You don't have anything. GPS, all of that. But if they keep on telling you that we had nothing to do with it, you don't even have NASA doing this space launch without women. The African women in hidden colors.
But see, that should tell you something. That's why But what they
hidden
know,
figures.
hidden figures. But when they know that when they think you a fool, they can tell you anything. That's just like with the pyramids. Oh, we people when they set them bricks up there. Really?
Man.
You really think that's what you really got people thinking you did that? Well, if you did it, do it now.
They can do it now.
But you know who keep building dynasties every time they get a chance? Okay. Well,
Right.
I mean, I'm gonna say dynasties building civilization was finna build something for themselves. Because you can look
there's only one group of people on the planet that built civilization.
Yeah.
Everybody else copied it.
Yeah.
And they did poor copies for the mere fact that they didn't do anything but war with each other instead of living at peace with each other.
Yeah, but see, Black Wall Street, why you think they wanted that destroyed? Rosewood, Brownsville, like I'm not trying to be, but where you think the numbers came from? Right, well, it was called policy. My bad, policy.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's like they just keep taking. Even when they said, I forgot who they said who invented baseball. Was it not I thought a black person, somebody. They said it was a football.
They said come from watching the Native Americans play what they call a lacrosse.
Yeah, but it was either hockey. It was one of them. They said
hockey we invented.
Okay, it was hockey then.
Yeah,
it was hockey, but we don't get no credit.
There's a book called Black Ice.
Yeah, but we don't get no credit for that.
No, because you get the whitewash stuff. If you listen, the first 13 or so Kentucky derbies were won by black jockeys until the white jockeys formed a union to kick the black jockeys out. One of the trainers of one of the greatest racehorses ever was a black man, and he trained Secretariat. And when they put Secretariat out when they put Secretariat out to pasture after they retired Secretariat, then from there, what he did was, and that when Secretariat was dying, he was the one that was there when Secretariat died. He said, no, but this is my horse. And instead of, the Secretary died peacefully because he was with his guy. Secretary was like 23 or 27 years old, something like that. Had a whole bunch of babies. They have a bronze figure of the horse and him. I think the man's name is Ed Love, the trainer and the jockey, where Secretary is buried at the farm he's buried at. The man, I think, is still alive. He could still be alive, his trainer. And I could have his name wrong. So listen, okay, let me address that real quick. If we go back to where we come from and we go back with the proper intentions, this country dies immediately. Immediately. 47 million people. You take everything that we made contributions to and take it back to where we come from, and we go in there with the proper mindset instead of going in there acting like we Americans and go back over there and act like we want to learn from these people and be humble and learn from them, then guess what? There's lights out for America. There's lights out for all of these other countries, because that's exactly what some of my teachers told us a long time ago. Because we're waiting for y'all to come back. The only reason why the president of Burkina Faso said what he said about he didn't want any Africans from America coming over there to help is because we've shown ourselves to be untrustworthy by being sellouts. We sold our own leaders out. We sold our own institutions out. We're at the hand of the death of anything and everything. We had our hand in it because we sat there and participated in making the downfall happen. From Marcus Garvey all the way up, from Denmark BC, from Gabriel Prosser, Nat Turner, and many others. So what did he say? I don't want y'all coming over here. Now, some people said he reneged on that and backed off, but I don't believe it. I wouldn't want us to come over there either, because even Marcus Garvey said an end over here is an end over there, and you don't want all the ends everywhere. because they're not going to be right. He just didn't see those people that were closest to him are the one that led to his downfall.
Oh, I got a video for us too on Tuesday.
Okay.
But I know you probably seen it. Elon Musk's father.
Oh, how he talk about folks?
Man, did you see what he's like? Do you want America to be a black? You want America to be darker? Man, he's so racist. It's impossible for me to not think. It's not impossible for me to not see why certain people can roll with each other.
All right. Okay, real quick. Miss Maria Carter and a new one, go study Thomas Sankara, who was the president before they assassinated him of Burkina Faso and in a coup d'etat led by the French. Then you'll understand where Traore gets his ideology from. Thomas Sankara was rougher than Traore. And he was doing this in the 80s. And he was telling the African countries then, give them their money back because they're using that to enslave us. And I'm not knocking Traore, but his predecessor is Thomas Sankara. Sankara, Thomas Sankara. You got anything else, big bro?
No, we good. What I got, I'm gonna hold for you can lose it on Tuesday.
Tuesday. We're getting ready to be a wrap.
Yeah, you're gonna be mad on Tuesday when I play with how his father talk.
And Tuesday I get to get down for real, so it ain't Sunday. Sure. I gave y'all a break on the ears.
For sure.
All right, family. We appreciate y'all spending your Sunday morning with us today. And Thomas Sankara. Yep, he was murdered by a French coup in the French-led coup d'etat in 1987. We appreciate you all, man. Thank you all from our family in Saskatchewan, Saskatoon. We appreciate it. And we will see you all Tuesday afternoon.
Peace.
All right, family. Peace.